show only, and it may contain language that could be offensive to some. So if you can't handle it, giving you a heads up now, you may want to skip this episode. Thank you so much. Enjoy, comment, and subscribe.
The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive, covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR show with Lee Sanders.
It's time to look into this crystal ball. Payback this Sunday, Chicago, Illinois. We got some matches that look like it has a lot of potential to be really good when you look at it on paper. Where do we start? Let's start with the pre-show. We got Sheamus taking on Damien Sandow, which I'm still disappointed that this match did not make it on the official card. That ticks me off to no end. We've seen these guys going back and forth for a few weeks on SmackDown, and this isn't good enough to make it to the actual card. That just freaking sucks, but you know what? That's okay. It's still a damn good pre-show. I don't mind seeing it go down. Some people may be a little bit upset that the Divas got into the actual card. On the contrary, we have not seen the Divas Championship defended at a WWE pay-per-view. It seems like at least maybe 3, possibly 4 pay-per-views. So in this case, I'm fine with Damien Sandow, Sheamus doing their thing for the pre-show. Oh, man, it seems like Damien Sandow has just been getting the upper hand on Sheamus, doesn't it? He's been challenging him with the mind games, making him look like an idiot. And this is a case right here where Sheamus, he really needs to just put a big old fat bro kick in Damien Sandow's face. If there was ever a good guy versus bad guy match, this is it right here, your opener. And I just got to go with Sheamus for the victory. I want to see Sheamus just get that nice big fat boot up high in the air and just wham, right in the face of Damien Sandow. Shut that intellectual savior up. As much as I would like to see Sandow on the other side, though, pick up a win over Sheamus to continue this feud, as I really think these two guys, they have something really going on here. I don't know if they can continue to capitalize. That's my concern. I don't know if WWE writers are really willing to commit that much more time into telling this storyline, into telling this rivalry. I think that it's going to come to an end on the pre-show, which sucks because I think that if they do this right, they could actually go on probably until SummerSlam. Not saying that they would have a match at SummerSlam, but if they did this right, they could keep it up until SummerSlam. But, and I love Sandow too. Yeah, I got to stick with my guns on this one. Sheamus over Sandow. Dolph Ziggler returns to action for the first time in 5 weeks after suffering a concussion. He's going to be defending his World Heavyweight title against Alberto Del Rio. This is a no-brainer. Dolph Ziggler wins. I'm sorry, were you expecting me to go a little bit more in depth about that? Okay, well, let's see. Alberto Del Rio, yawn. No, let me tell you how I really feel. Alberto Del Rio, don't get me wrong, he has his moments. He can deliver a great technical match, and honestly, this is just one of those scenarios where Alberto Del Rio, he never really did get his justice. Remember the night that Dolph Ziggler had cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase on him. He never really did have a fair shot without anybody else involved or no silly stipulations, none of that crap. He never was really able to get his hands on Dolph Ziggler one-on-one. So finally, this is his chance. And it's kind of funny because when you think about what had went down, what was that, the month before, while Dolph Ziggler was out with a concussion, we had actually saw two number one contenders get named, as it was Jack Swagger and Alberto Del Rio. So you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, Alberto Del Rio, he was already the number one contender. Why are we putting Jack Swagger involved? And why is there now two number? It's just a whole bunch of silly crap was just going on. But lo and behold, here we are. Finally, ADR, he gets his hands on Dolph Ziggler. You can't help but say to yourself, what type of role may AJ Lee and or Big E Langston could play in this particular match? That's what you got to be saying to yourself, because remember, ADR, Big E Langston, they've been going at it back and forth for a good moment now for the past couple of weeks. If you're keeping tally at home, I think these guys have collided at least 5-6 times. So, bearing all that in mind, you know there's going to be some shady stuff that's going to be going on in this match. But when it's all said and done, Dolph Ziggler, I got him going over ADR. But if you're looking for a really good technical match early on during this pay-per-view, I definitely will point out that Ziggler versus ADR. We were teasing it earlier. Kaitlyn taking on AJ Lee for the Divas title. I don't really think we need to go that much more into it, but, you know, this is just one of those type of storylines where, for me personally, this is going to be actually a Divas match. I'm definitely going to be kicking it back, and I'm really going to be enjoying. This is the first time that I've seen a Divas match that has a lot of storytelling. The WWE writers, they've really, really been keeping their word on trying to give us more storylines as far as the Divas go that fans can kind of feel invested in. And I think when you just do everything in retrospect, and I'm really hoping that leading into this match, we really see a great video package that just chronicles their entire friendship, like all the way up to now, to just really, really help get it over, as, after all, it is for the Divas title. Kaitlyn, she is definitely looking like the person that needs to get her revenge after being embarrassed on live TV, after being put through all the hell that AJ has put her through. You would think that Kaitlyn would get that revenge over AJ, right? Sorry, I got to go with AJ Lee as the new Divas champion. I know some of you may be a little bit concerned about AJ and her cute little small frame and all that, and you all are like, can she really take a licking? Hey, honestly, that little tiny thing, I think she can take some really good serious bumps with the best of them. And besides, I just think she would just go over better as a champion. No disrespect to Kaitlyn, or maybe I do mean disrespect to Kaitlyn, but when I think about Kaitlyn's entire run as the Divas champion, there's really nothing memorable that stands out in my mind. You think I'm being harsh? Can you name me 5 people that she's defended her title against that actually made you go, that was a pretty damn good title defense? If you can't come up with anything, then that's exactly the problem that's going on with Kaitlyn. She just has not been able to get over ever since she had won the title a while back. And we've even seen her go through a little bit of a wardrobe change. What was that, about 2 weeks ago? She finally had ditched the baggy pants, tight pants or whatever, and she just had a little one-piece suit going on there, and that didn't last long. It looked like she went back to her commando pants the very next week. She's still having a little bit of fine-tuning problems and all of that, but I just don't see her getting over as a champion. AJ Lee, she proved that she is able to connect with the WWE Universe. She was able to do this before she became the Raw GM, and she is still able to connect with that audience. As a parent, Monday night when she was cutting that promo there, I got to go with AJ Lee, your new Divas champion. Kane versus Dean Ambrose. Well, shit, that's a no-brainer. That's Dean Ambrose right there for the United States title. There's no reason to go all meat and potatoes in that. That's Dean Ambrose all the way. The Shields, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, they're going to be taking on the new team of Daniel Bryan and RKO, Randy Orton, for those tag titles. Daniel Bryan's been delivering some of the best technical wrestling I have seen within recent weeks on WWE programming. He has really picked up that mantle since CM Punk has been gone of must-see moment of WWE Raw and SmackDown at that. I've just been in love with his work as of late. You know, I'm actually concerned right here because from the bookers, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, man, Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, they got a hell of momentum going on in their favor, especially Daniel Bryan. He's so white hot right now. Would make sense to put the tag titles on them, right? Right. However, I don't see that happening. I think the bigger payoff would be for some type of a miscommunication to go down between Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. And you know where I'm going with this. Daniel Bryan, he's been on this whole having a chip on his shoulders, trying to prove something to everybody. He's pretty much lost his old tag team partner in Kane, so it looks like that's it for Team Hell No. And unfortunately, Bryan and Orton, they were paired up per Vicky Guerrero to do this dance with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. I think if what we had saw from Monday night between Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins was any indication, I think we're going to be seeing these two guys follow up what they did Monday at that tag match at Payback. But despite all that, it's definitely going to be a damn good tag match, no doubt about it. But I see Daniel Bryan just continuing to have that little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I can definitely see something weird playing out in this match where Daniel Bryan, he's going to get in the face of Randy Orton, and Orton's probably going to hit him with another RKO, or the two of these guys are probably just going to duke it out or what have you. And I know some people are like, oh, is Randy Orton going to go heel now? I don't really see that happening just yet. But I think the bigger payoff would be for Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton to engage in a singles feud. I think that is going to be the next thing that happens with those guys. As far as Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, who could possibly be their next challengers for the titles, you know, we recently saw somewhat of a repackage, looks like a more refocused, the Usos. I'm looking at them possibly sliding on in there, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because one of them got in trouble with the law, yet he's still allowed to be on WWE programming, but yet Jack Swagger hasn't made an appearance on WWE programming in a couple of weeks. I don't suppose he's now doing his 30-day suspension, is he? I mean, I'm just wondering. I mean, we saw poor what's that guy's name? Zeb Coulter out there Monday night looking at Antonio Cesaro's match and all that, actually putting him over. I don't mean to go off on a rant there, but I just think that's just a little funny, that's all. But yeah, I can see the Usos kind of sliding in there afterwards. But I got the Shields, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins retaining. Wade Barrett defends his Intercontinental title against The Miz and Curtis Axel. Now, you know, for me personally, I love Wade Barrett. Love the guy to death. Everything that he's accomplished in the WWE, the NXT, Nexus, love Wade Barrett. The way he's been utilized as of late, though, and I think the trend is going to continue. It's just been sucking the way they've been using him as the Intercontinental Champion. And, you know, Miz is trying so hard to find an identity. I don't know what this guy wants to be. One minute he wants to do the Ric Flair thing, and the other minute he wants to do the commentating thing. I just need for something, permanent with the Miz to happen. It just seems like everywhere I look, Miz is everywhere. If he's not doing a match, he's commentating. If he's not commentating, he's doing Miz TV. I just need him to stick to one freaking thing, because right now I just think he's just getting too much overexposure. That's the truth. And it's overexposure in a way that will make you not really want to feel invested into him, because he's getting too much damn exposure. So for me personally, I can't see him with the Intercontinental title. I don't think it does him any good. You go to Wade Barrett, hey, Wade Barrett, honestly, he's been very quiet as the Intercontinental Champion, and that is actually not his fault. That's actually the fault of WWE booking. And just keeping in mind how they've been booking him as of late, I don't see him retaining the title. So you know what that means. Whether some of you like it or not, some of you may think it's a little bit too soon. Curtis Axel, I got him becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. Just look at the way they've properly been building this guy up. Even if it's been crappy, shady wins via disqualification, just look at the way they've been hyping him up. First off, the son of Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. Grandson of the Axel. Then you throw in the fact that you got Curtis Axel, who's gotten victories over John Cena twice. He's gotten victories over Triple H, 3 times now? Some would argue 4. I'm just going to stay with 3, just to be on the safe side. Not to mention, he's also picked up a couple of wins here and there. Oh, he just did something with Chris Jericho on last Friday's SmackDown. I mean, the guy's just been on one hell of a freaking streak right now, and I see no reason why that trend would continue. Now, see, smart booking would say that maybe we could perhaps see Triple H make a little bit of a cameo in this match and maybe ruin Curtis Axel's chance of becoming the new Intercontinental Champion, and thus it brings it down to Wade Barrett taking on The Miz, and then maybe this could properly set up Curtis Axel into demanding a rematch against Triple H Monday Night Raw. Unfortunately, don't see that happening, as Triple H pretty much dismissed it on Raw this past week. So for those of you that might be looking for a little bit of Triple H maybe coming out during this match, I don't see it happening. Could we possibly see Fandango make an appearance during this match? Maybe give a little bit of commentating, as he was supposed to be involved in this, but he's out on concussion. And honestly, I think it's for the best. That leg drop that he does from the top turnbuckle, that needs to just chill for a little bit. And the same dancing moves. I don't know about you guys. I'm getting a little bit tired of seeing him do the same moves over and over again. He needs a little bit of a break. But Curtis Axel, writing's on the wall. New Intercontinental Champion right there. He's hot right now. You know how WWE is. When they got something hot that's going on, they just love to go with that flow, pull that trigger, make it happen. All right, we got Chris Jericho taking on CM Punk, a returning CM Punk. We have not seen him since he has taken a defeat at the hands of The Undertaker. We have seen no via satellite footage of CM Punk. We have not seen any video packages of CM Punk talking about this match against Jericho. If you've been reading CM Punk's Twitter timeline, he hasn't even made a reference to wrestling except for a comment he said in late May, basically saying, and I quote, "And there you have it, I hate wrestling." CM Punk has just been quietly moving on with his life. And I know this is going to tick off a lot of you guys what I'm getting ready to say. I said it before, I'll say it again, but now I can go into more depth about this. I don't have CM Punk showing up at the Payback pay-per-view. I think this is part of a bigger plan. Now, just think for a moment to what all you've seen within recent weeks. you've seen Chris Jericho pretty much bitch Paul Heyman into finding out what's going on with CM Punk. Paul Heyman really didn't know how to answer that question, and rather than look like an idiot that does not have any type of communication with his client, he accepts a match on CM Punk's behalf. You go to the contract signing. Once again, no CM Punk. Now just think back to the history of WWE. Whenever there's been contract signings, we've never seen a scenario play out where the manager is stepping in to sign a contract on behalf of their client. Maybe in recent time with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar and all, but that's really not something that you see on a regular basis, all right? You got to admit, those things, when you just look back on it, it doesn't really add up. And I don't know about you guys, but if you don't have the whole caution flashing in your mind, you really should, because this is one equation that you really need to consider. You can be in denial, but you really should consider that all these things that I just mentioned, could we actually see a CM Punk show up in Chicago for Payback against Chris Jericho? The answer to that is no. It is no. I think that Paul Heyman, the way that the storyline is looking, I think CM Punk is not going to show up. Paul Heyman is going to be made to look like an idiot. He's going to be made to look like he got stood up. And I think instead what's probably going to end up happening, we may see Chris Jericho say, look, the people here in Chicago, they came to see somebody get their ass beat. We could possibly see Chris Jericho take a beating on Paul Heyman. Could we maybe entertain the idea of a Brock Lesnar coming out and just F5 to hell out of Chris Jericho? To my knowledge, and I've got to do my homework, but to my knowledge, I don't recall a Brock Lesnar and a Chris Jericho ever locking up. But I'm like 90% sure, but there's that 10% of me that's a little unsure. But if I were a betting man, I'd say they haven't collided before. But you know me, I'll be definitely doing my homework on that to confirm that. Would be kind of badass to maybe see Brock Lesnar come out as Paul Heyman is getting his ass tossed around by Jericho, to just come on out and F5. And we kind of add up a little bit. After all, Brock Lesnar, his face is on the freaking poster for the Payback pay-per-view. We know that he's supposedly met all his dates to the WWE, but maybe this is a case right here where they could actually use him, who knows, and then the next night on Raw, Heyman could finally reveal just what exactly is going on with his client, CM Punk. But I think the storyline that they're trying to set up here is a case where CM Punk stands up Paul Heyman. I can see Heyman revealing that he's been trying to get in contact with his client, not returning his calls, not returning his emails. And I don't really see this happening in a way where Paul Heyman's kind of like, Punk, I'm your friend or something of that nature. But I think these are the necessary seeds that's needed to eventually bring back a healthy 100% CM Punk. Make no mistake about it, I see Heyman turning on CM Punk. I truly feel that when Punk does come back, he's going to be a babyface, and I think it's going to be a babyface for the right reasons, because Heyman is going to turn on Punk, and that's going to get rid of Punk being a Paul Heyman guy. But once again, I can't stress it enough, I don't see Punk showing up at the pay-per-view. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Punk is going to show up. I'd love to hear the reason why you think it's going to go down, but that's where I'm going with that one. Let's go to the main event match. We got John Cena taking on Ryback, WWE title, 3 stages of hell. do we really have to talk about this match? Because, I mean, honestly, this is probably one of the most boring matches. Honestly, I could really care less about this match. That's just me. I guess we have some that are pretty excited about this match. So I guess we'll go on ahead and we'll talk about it. 3 stages of hell. First match, lumberjack. Second match, tables. If necessary, and you know it's going to go there, an ambulance match. You know, if it was me that was doing this, I would have some really, really fun stuff go down in this. If I were given total control over this match, the way I would book this, let's see, I'd have John Cena win the lumberjack match. I'd have Ryback just destroy the hell out of Cena in the tables match. That's his thing, after all. He loves putting people through tables, so I'd like to see something like that happen. And honestly, I love the idea of a Ryback putting John Cena in an ambulance truck, driving that son of a bitch out of the arena, driving that son of a bitch down the streets of Chicago, hitting my old turf, drive that son of a bitch to Lake Michigan and just let that bad boy sink with John Cena in it, and we don't see John Cena for, God, at least 6 months. He comes back and he is just repackaged. No more of the loyalty, hustle, respect, fruity pebbles, none of that stuff. We just get a new, improved John Cena that brings the fight to Ryback, gets back the WWE title eventually. That would be the way I would paint this. That would be so monumental. Talk about a huge way to get Ryback over as that new guy. That would just be badass. Do you love that idea? You probably do, especially if you can't stand John Cena. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. So the smart booking right here says, when it's all said and done, John Cena is going to go over Ryback, which I think honestly would be a good thing, because Ryback, he needs a pause right now. He needs a pause and a reset. Remember how we all were a little bit disappointed when we found out that Curtis Axel was the one that was the new Paul Heyman guy? I was actually one of those people that sat up and said, you know, why not Ryback? Before I even found out that it was Curtis Axel, I said, why not Ryback? He needs a serious manager by his side. He needs a damn good mouthpiece that can really get him over. It's like a freaking win-win combination, but they're letting Ryback go at it alone, and I just think he's really just been struggling with those promos. I mean, you just watch that guy talk. John Cena, what I do to you at Payback, you'll understand why Ryback rules. I'm sure it just looks really good in his mind when he is just reading the lines with the script and he's watching the nightly news with Brian Williams and he's just walking back and forth and he's like, Ryback rules. Ryback rules. And he's actually reading those lines. Ryback rules. But, he's just not channeling it well in front of the live crowd, and he's just been really having a hard time getting over it. I really feel he needs a manager. I mean, hell, even if you don't want to pair him up with Paul Heyman, Zeb Coulter, my freaking God, that would be a very interesting combination right there. After all, we're kind of led to the impression based on what we saw Monday night. Looks like Zeb Coulter might be looking for a new client to take on. That would be a very interesting pairing right there if they were to get him with Ryback. But, just keeping everything that I just said in mind, John Cena is unfortunately going to go over Ryback, but I think that's for a good thing because Ryback just needs a little bit more fine-tuning. He's missing about 2 to 3 pieces that can really just catapult him to being the man in the WWE. And when I say the man, having the belt and just having a run with it for a few months. But Sunday night, Chicago, John Cena going over. And that's going to do it for your match predictions for Sunday's Payback pay-per-view. Let's take it from the bottom, work our way back up to the top. Way I got things panning out this Sunday. Pre-show, I've got Sheamus going over Damien Sandow, but it should be noted, I really feel that Sandow should go over in this match to have the rivalry continue. I want that to be noted. I have Dolph Ziggler going over Alberto Del Rio for their singles match, World Heavyweight title. AJ Lee defeats Kaitlyn to become the new Divas champion. Kane versus Dean Ambrose. That's Dean Ambrose all the way. Speaking of the Shield, I got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins going over Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton for those tag titles. I have Curtis Axel becoming the new Intercontinental champion as he'll defeat Wade Barrett and The Miz. Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. I'm saying this match is not going to happen. I do not see CM Punk making an appearance. And I know that's going to just upset the hell out of some people. Do I hope I'm wrong and CM Punk does make an appearance? Yes. This would kind of just give me shades of Booker T taking on Triple H. I can't think of the pay-per-view right now. I want to say maybe it was SummerSlam. I'd have to do my research and think about it, but I remember they were hyping up Triple H, and they were saying the real King of Kings is going to be coming back, and he's going to take his rightful throne when he defeats Booker T, a.k.a. King Booker. And this was pretty much the last match that Booker T had in the WWE before going to TNA Wrestling. And I remember there was no Triple H promos, there was no vignettes, he didn't do anything via satellite. We saw Triple H at the pay-per-view, he kicked Booker T's ass, and that was pretty much it. Maybe this CM Punk versus Chris Jericho, maybe it could follow in those footsteps, but just the way they've been telling the story so far, I wouldn't be surprised if CM Punk did not show up at Chicago. For the WWE Championship, 3 stages of hell, I've got John Cena. I know. I've got John Cena going over Ryback to still be your WWE Champion. Hey, what's your match predictions? Love to hear from you. Hit us up on Twitter, Infinity1Prod, or over at the RCWR show. You can also share your match predictions. You can leave your comments. And, hey, if you are spot on, we'll do our best to show you some love on our post show this Sunday. And let's tell you about that. We're going to continue the tradition. We had a damn good TNA Slammiversary post show, and we need to keep that momentum going. So make sure you join us for the simulcast this Sunday. It's going to come on immediately after WWE Payback goes off the air. So if you're in the East Coast, that's 10:45 p.m. or, hey, as soon as the pay-per-view goes off, you'll be able to catch it live on YouTube, and you'll also be able to catch that simulcast at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. Phone lines will be open. Our chat room will be open. We're going to be doing everything. You know how we do it over here. We're going to hook you guys up, as we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Get your thoughts on the pay-per-view overall.